In this lesson, we're going to generate more or less realistic data for one of the courses, so it will simplify our testing in the future. But first of all, I prefer to extract the markup, which renders this video player into a separate component. So let's go back to the show.blade.php, the view responsible for showing individual lesson page, and right here I'm going to cut this whole markup of the player and then move it into component with the name player, which we're about to create inside lesson folder. In this folder, I prefer to store all those components that are somehow related to the lesson resource. So I'm going to put all this markup into this component, and just because we need to get access to the lesson variable in this component, I'm going to pass it from outside as a prop by using shorthand notation. Let's call this prop lesson. Moving on, there is one styling issue related to aligning content within the header and the footer with the content of the main section of the page. As you can see right now, this content is not aligned, so I'm going to open up header component and remove the horizontal paddings. In this case, we're going to use only vertical paddings by using py4 class. And then to fix the same alignment in the footer, we're going to remove px4 class right here. Now we're going to pick one course, which we're usually going to use to test the behavior of our application. For example, let's pick JetBrains IDE productivity. So I'm going to move this course to the very beginning of this array, so it will be always displayed first on the courses page. But we have to regenerate the data in the database once again by running dbseed command. And after this, on the courses page, the very first course will be the one we have just moved to the very beginning of the data array, just like we wanted to. And now I'm going to modify the logic of the lesson seeder in order to populate lessons table with more realistic data for this first course. But before that, just like we have done with the course seeder, I'm going to create an array of data that is going to store more or less realistic data for lessons. Every element of this array will contain 2 keys, number, and the title of the lesson. So in total, we're going to have 16 lessons that we are about to attach to the first course. And of course, all these elements are going to contain different data for each lesson. And now that we have this array filled, time to modify the logic of the run method in this seeder. So right here I'm going to create variable called course title and put the title of the course in here. It will be the title of the very first course from the list. And down here where we are generating lessons for every course in the database, in this case I'm going to skip the course where title is the title we have specified previously by using where not where clause and filtering out that course with a specified title. So this way, this block of code is going to generate lessons for all the courses in the database except the course with the title JetBrains IDE productivity, because for that course we're going to generate realistic data of lessons. And that is exactly what we're about to do right now. So I'm going to call factory method on the lesson model, and in here we have to specify how many lesson records we have to generate for this course. I'm going to take the amount of elements in the data array and pass it in this factory call, and then in order to bind all these lessons to the specific course, we can use method for, which accepts the model of the related resource. And since in our case the related resource is course, I'm going to fetch this course by the title from the database, and to get only one record, instead of calling method get, I'm gonna call method first. And eventually this whole expression is going to return the course model, which corresponds to the course with the title JetBrains IDE productivity. And then I'm going to call method sequence and specify which data has to be used to generate the records in the lessons table. We cannot pass an array of data in this sequence method because it takes individual elements. And just to get those individual elements from the data array, we're going to use triple dot operator right here. So this way we're kind of unpacking array elements into individual function arguments. And don't forget that in order to eventually create all these records and store them in a database, we're gonna have to call method create. So let's try it out. I'm going to generate data in the database once again by running dbseed command. And let's check everything in a browser. So the first course that is shown on the courses page is the course with the title JetBrains IDE Productivity, for which we have just generated realistic data of lessons. And as you can see, all these lessons now contain real titles. And also all these titles correspond to real lesson titles on YouTube. So that was it for this lesson. Let's continue development in the next one.